Hi, I'm Scott Willison with the Confluence Fly Shop in Bellingham, Washington, and today we are going to tie a great little Chironomid pattern that love fishing everywhere from our local lakes like Pass Lake in late spring, early summer, up to the interior lakes of BC. This is definitely a standby to have in your box anytime you've got kind of some olive green Chironomids coming off the water. We are going to tie the Christmas tree Chironomid. As you might guess from the name, it is kind of a red and green color scheme. You can tie this lots of different ways. Today's particular pattern, I'm kind of tying the fish up a little closer to the surface in the upper water column. I can even fish this on a floating line and kind of grease my leader to get this fly to sit in the film. It's not super heavily weighted. Instead of using a brass or tungsten bead to finish the fly, I've got just a small pearl glass bead on here, and that glass bead's going to simulate potentially the gills on the Chironomid, maybe a trapped air bubble, something to get the fish's attention. So I've got in my vise right now a size 14 Daiichi 1120. This is a heavy wire scud hook. I like tying these. 14's about as big as I go on this particular pattern. Really like them in both 16s and 18s as well, but I figured a 14 would show up a little better on camera. So we're going to go ahead and just start some olive thread. I've got just 70 Denier olive ultra thread on here. And then, as I do on a lot of my Chironomids, it's really important to keep the body taper pretty thin. And so I'm going to not even lay down a thread base all the way down the shank. I'm just going to tie in got some small red ultra wire in there. And also in promoting that thin body, kind of see my bobbin spinning wildly below me. I'm spinning it counterclockwise so I can actually flatten out this thread a little bit. And then we're just going to take that down little ways into the bend of the hook, and then we'll tie in our next material. This next material doesn't create a whole lot of bulk, and so I'm not too worried about wrapping back over it. Let's see if I can get a nice long one here. We are going to tie in some Peacock Krystal flash, and I've got a big long strand of it, and we're going to tie that in the center, kind of wrap back over that. And then we'll take our thread forward, and I'm just going to build up a slight taper here. So I've still got my thread flat. Going to wrap back about 3/4 of the way back up to the bead, and then about halfway back up to the bead, and then about 1/4 back and back up. And that'll build just a nice little taper in the fly. Again, I want to try to keep this thing really skinny. The naturals are skinny, and I think Chironomids with a natural profile work better than the big old juicy ones. And this is pretty brittle, so you gotta watch not to nick it on the hook point, or you gotta start all over again. So we'll take that Krystal flash right up to the bead, and then take a few wraps. Now I know I'm gonna get maybe 6-7 turns out of this wire, so somewhere along the lines I misplaced my bobbin arm that I would hang the bobbin over so that I can wrap without unwinding or winding the thread additionally. But I've got a little trick here. We'll throw a half hitch in there so we know that body material is secure, and then I'm going to wind this rib the opposite direction of my thread there to kind of reinforce the body and help it stand out a little bit more. So knowing I'm going to be unwinding thread, I'll just take an extra 6, 7, or 8 wraps there, because I do like to use the rotary for the wire. And I'm going to try to get a couple of wraps here right at the butt of the fly, just to form a little bit of a red butt. There we go. And then we're back to where we whipped finished. We'll take the thread over that wire, take a couple wraps to lock it into place, couple wraps in front, couple wraps behind. And once we're confident we've got that secure, we can just kind of rock it back and forth to eventually break the wire. And then at this point we just whip finish. And we're essentially good to go. Now this crystal flash, even with the wire over it, is not terribly durable. So we are going to coat this fly to reinforce it and toughen it up. This will also kind of give it a little bit of translucency and give the effect of a nice Chironomid body. You can use Sally Hansen's on this. You can use super glue. I'm just going to brush on some bone dry Solarez here and make sure I've got the whole thing nice and covered. Get the underside. Now, if you're just learning to learning to tie flies, this is a great type of pattern to get started with, because they're really pretty straightforward. Just a couple of materials, not terribly expensive materials. And they catch fish. So now that we've got that coated, we'll grab our UV light and just give that a quick zap all the way around. And we are good to go. That is a Christmas tree Chironomid. Sure to catch fish on a lake near you when Chironomids are hatching, and sometimes when they're not. Anyway, you can find the materials for this and many other flies at the Confluence Fly Shop in Bellingham, Washington. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos, and we will see you in the shop or on the water. Thanks for watching.